Welcome to the Authentic Dentist Podcast. Join Dr. Allison House of House Dental in Scottsdale and Shawn Zayas, founder of Zana, a company helping dentists extend their care beyond the chair as they lead dentists deeper along the journey of authenticity to reach greater fulfillment in their professional lives and to deliver remarkable patient experiences. At the core of the Authentic Dentist is a belief that the answer to the current challenges in dentistry is dentists discovering that their greatest asset and point of differentiation is their personal brand, and that forming that brand out of their authentic selves is the best strategy for success in dentistry today.
So this podcast is brought to you by Zana, and Zana makes electric toothbrushes, but it's more than that. They have a program that'll grow your practice with their electric toothbrushes.
Hey, this is Shawn and Allison with the Authentic Dentist Podcast, and we are excited to interview Tonya from the DentalPost. And Tonya, just chatting with you a little bit, it has just already been so inspiring to hear just how you even arrived at where you're at, starting kind of in dentistry as a hygienist. So yes, today we're excited just to talk with Tonya a little bit about that and just share kind of what she's doing.
So Tonya, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what your company is doing right now?
Sure. I started out as a hygienist, and I've been doing hygiene for 25 years. And I kind of, 16 years ago, threw up a website because I was temping as a hygienist and I saw a need. And during that temping, I was in different offices, and I'd always see offices that were doing great and everybody was happy. Then I'd always see offices that you'd go in and they couldn't keep the book full and nobody wanted to be there, and the dentist didn't never look happy. And I started to see these trends in offices where people fit really well. And everybody kept saying, well, I'm not happy here. I want to go somewhere else. And so I'd say, oh, I know an office that's great because I temped there and they were wonderful. And so my phone started ringing off the hook, and I was had a bout with infertility. And so I got pregnant with twins. So I threw up a website during that time trying to have kids and juggle everything. And it just grew. And now it's 16 years later, I have 850,000 dental professionals on the site nationwide, and there's 67,000 dental offices using it to fill the needs of their office, using data to make a better hire, and using assessment to understand if a person will fit in their office better.
That is amazing. Can you tell me a little bit more about how you do this assessment?
Yeah, when I was just out of dental hygiene school, I worked for two doctors, and they took us to a course, and it was my first taste of what DISC was. And I remember thinking, wow, this is cool. They made us do this in-depth DISC test, and I was a ID, so I really like people, and I like the results. And I was like, this is really cool. And then we started looking at everybody else on the team and where they fit in. And you had an insurance person, and they were a little bit of a higher CS, and they were detail oriented. And it was really interesting. It fascinated me to see how people interacted with each other. So that was kind of my, I think, first journey to understanding what assessments were. So on DentalPost, I added DISC. And since then, I've added EI, emotional intelligence, work culture assessments, so you can get a better fit where your environment, skills, dental philosophy, and what your goals are. So I think if you kind of understand some of those things when you're hiring, that can help you achieve your goals and give excellent care to your patients, your team, function at a high level, and then be happier at work.
So are you saying that some combinations don't work well together, or some, should your hygienist be a certain combination?
When you look at like this, there's percentages, you could be 100% D, or you could be, just about 60% D. So if you've got like 100% D for a doctor and you hire 100% D for a hygienist, yeah, they're going to lock horns, and they're probably going to, they're going to have control probably issues there. So you can work better if you've got like a lower D personality with a higher D personality. But you really have to find that combination that does fit well.
Wow, that's just brilliant. So they take an assessment, and then do you do the matching, or do you have a computer system that does the matching?
We have a matching algorithm that sends out candidates that would match up better with you if you've taken the assessments yourself, and what you're looking for. So there's a lot of factors that play a role in that. Now, if you're a high, if you're I personality, ID hygienist, that would work well with a DI, a high DI dentist. So, you have to look at it as you don't want to have all of the same working for you. And that's typically what people hire. You're like, oh, they're like me. I really like them. But when you're in an office, you need people that can't do the things that you're good at, or that you're not good at, and the things that you're good at. You want to have a balance.
And I think you're right. That's a mistake lots of dentists make. Oh, you're like me. Come work for me. Oh, no, that doesn't work. You need a lot of different personalities in order to make an office work.
Yeah, not everybody can be the boss. Yes.
That's right. So I know that you have some more education. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
A little bit about,
Didn't you go to MIT? Do I remember something about London? Yes,
I did. I joined, I was a hygienist, and I got to a level of growing this business. I was raising twins. I was also seeing patients about 4 days a week, and I was running DentalPost at the same time. And on the weekends, I go to conferences, and I got to a place where I'm like, okay, I need more structure. I need to put some more structure, and I'm not sure how to do it. And I had several patients say, you need to join EO. And I was like, what is EO? And nobody could really tell me what it was. And then I had to go meet somebody. And then what EO is it's called Entrepreneurs Organization. And it opened my world. And there's a lot of dentists in EO as well. But it opened my world to resources that I would not have had if I had not known about it. And I think it helped me advance my growth of the company at that point. And what they offer is also programs into MIT, into Wharton, into London Business School, into Harvard. And the first one I went to was London Business School. And I was like, I'm going to London Business School. This is like, incredible. I've never had the chance to do something like that. And when I went, there was John Mullins was my professor, and he brought in all these professors from all over the world to speak to us. And it was, a whole week. And I sat down with him at lunch one day, and we were talking about my company, and he's like, I love your company, what you've done, and how you look at the people of it. You look how they interact with each other. You want to make people happier in their work environment. And he knew that I was working as a hygienist and raising the twins and building the company, where I just didn't take on money to grow the company fast and furious. I took what I made and I put it back into the company and to add value to the people in dentistry. So, but working in over 100 offices, when I was temping, I started, to see things that I could take from other offices that worked and bring a tool to the community to help them. But John liked it so much that he did a pilot on it and brought me back over to London after I finished the course. And he spent 8 hours with me and did a pilot on it. And now he teaches it at London Business School of how I built DentalPost.
Wow. Congratulations. That is just amazing.
I really am grateful for, when an opportunity has opened to me, I've just had faith and took the opportunity. And I do sometimes just go, wow, I've had a really fun journey from going from, I'm still a hygienist, but going from hygienist to running a company to going to a place where you meet people that have done amazing things. And then they give you back the feedback that you need to hear in order to take yourself to the next level. Because when you become uncomfortable and you stretch yourself, that's when you get your most growth. And I believe that's about what we are at DentalPost, is self-awareness. When you push yourself to understand, because people don't like to change and they don't like to look at themselves in the mirror, and look at their weaknesses. But when you do and you can learn to grow from it or get better, then you can actually function at a higher level in life in general. You can be that Olympic level.
I just want to take a moment and pause, because it is so fascinating, everything you just said. Like Allison and I, our whole brand is all about, just inspiring and encouraging those that are in this journey of dentistry that might be wondering, I don't fit perfectly and I'm not really sure if there's more. And you started as a hygienist, and then you just saw a problem, and you saw a few other problems, and you realize, hey, I think I can actually do something about this. And it didn't align itself at the perfect time in your life, when you had lots of freedom, when you had lots of time, when it showed up when you could have just used it as a perfect excuse. You know what? I have twins. Like, come on. No one thinks it's a good strategy. Have twins and also start a side hustle. Like, it doesn't make sense, but you did it. And there's so much about the mindset that you have, Tonya, that I know our listeners need to hear, because it's inspiring. And I know you were sharing with us something about you didn't arrive at this without struggle. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's a lot of struggle, yes. I'm going to go back to my childhood. So my mom had OCD growing up, and I'm not talking about the kind of OCD that where you use alcohol on your hands all the time, or, you forgot to turn the light off or the oven off. I'm talking about clinical OCD, where she would wash us, and she would wash us 5, 6, 7 times, and she would wash our clothes a lot. So I always say, I was a very clean child, and I became a hygienist because my mom taught me cross-contamination at an early age. But she was trapped in her head. And I saw that as a young child, and I just wanted my mom to be okay. And I wanted her to be able to flourish and get out of her. She was so trapped in her head that she couldn't get out and steps outside the box and be free. And it made me really sad. And I always wanted, she gave me a gift to understand people's why. So I think we don't do people justice by, when we look at somebody and we get to know someone, we go, why are they the way they are? And it always goes back to childhood. It goes back to something that happened. There's a great book that I read, and I don't want to get off focus, but it's called Mastery of Love. And it talks about, it's an analogy. It talks about we're all born disease-free when we're up until age 2. And then after age 2, we get a skin disease, is what they talk about. And they talk about some people's skin disease hurts more than others when people touch it. And it's an analogy about how our feelings, our emotions are so connected to, how we interact with the world. And when we're touching, we've been damaged by the adults or the limiting belief system that we grew up with. It really does keep us in our cage. And we can't flourish from there until we get to that place where we start our personal journey, our development journey, and decide. So, I know I've got off there, but, my mom was my first teacher. And I just wanted to understand why people do the things they do. And that helped me with my patients, too. I understood their fear. I understood their motivation. I understood what influenced them. And I was a really good clinician because I understood what drove them, what was their fear, and you can bring a person to where you want them to, their outcome to be, which is, optimal oral health, if you understand what their needs are. and you have high EI, emotional intelligence, to understand your self-awareness and how you interact with your emotions and other people's emotions, social awareness, relationship awareness, and your, all the emotional intelligence that if you understand how you interact and how your emotions feel, if you're interacting with even with your doctor or your team, if you understand, okay, I may not like her sometimes, but you know what? I'm not going to punish her. She's doing her job. I don't like the way she does something sometimes, and I've told her, but she did it again. You just have to not punish people. You have to be clear with a person. A lot of people are passive aggressive in a lot of ways, and that's and they don't realize they're being passive aggressive, or they don't realize that their ego gets in the way, and that all goes back to emotional intelligence. And I do believe that is going to be the future of our work in our schools going forward. It's the mindfulness movement.
That is a lot of what Shawn and I talk about with the Authentic Dentist, is that mindset and that coaching mentality, that you're coaching your team all the time and you're coaching your patients all the time to bring out the best, to encourage them to do their best work, and the environment needs to be that positive environment. So kudos to you. That's amazing.
Well,
I would like,
go ahead.
I want to touch on the mindset piece. We talk a lot about, you come into your practice and you see that there's a lot of problems and that you need to address them. And we like to look at them as challenges. Well, you took a really big challenge and turned it into something amazing. What was your mindset there? How did you believe that you could do this?
I don't know. I don't know what influenced me. I've always been, I want to help people. And again, like, it goes back to my childhood, where I just wanted to help my mom. It seeded in me. And I came from a family that helped people. I came from my great grandfather and my grandfather founded the fire department. They took care of people.
But it's really more than that, isn't it? Because you stepped out of the box. You did something that no one else had done, and you took it even further. That's impressive.
Thank you. I'm not sure what, but I think it builds on itself. From my experience as a child. I mean, I'll say that when I was 8 years old, I knocked my teeth out on a bicycle wreck, and the team was so good to me that I remember just wanting to go into that business in dentistry and be able to help people. They made me feel so good after I'd knocked my teeth out, went to the hospital, and they brought the tooth back to the hospital and sewed my face up. And, and I spent a lot of time in the dental chair. It really influenced me. I believe that the dental office is a big influencing place for just the general public. I think it's the best job in the universe, because we get to help people, which gives a gift back to us selfishly, that we've improved somebody's life. We've made them healthier. They may not always appreciate it, but we've actually done something for them. And if I see it as a gift back to me, that I'm able to take my gift in life and help somebody with my hands, to help somebody with my knowledge.
So Tonya, you shared about what happened when you were 8 years old, losing your teeth, had such an impact because you had a positive dental experience. And Allison has a pretty profound story about a positive dental experience that influenced her that I would like her to share.
Well, I became a dentist because when I was in college and I was studying to go into medicine, my dad was diagnosed with oral cancer. Oh. And our general dentist found it. And he found it early because my dad went in every 6 months. Mm-hmm. And bigger than that, our dentist was paying attention. He cared. There was a doctor-patient relationship. And it just changed my whole outlook. And I became a dentist. And it just fulfills me. I love it. Just like you, I have all this passion about it. But a big piece of it is that doctor-patient relationship, that paying attention to what's going on. And it's hard, especially in dentistry right now, because we're so busy.
And I believe that's when you're, as a dentist too. I mean, I've been a hygienist for 25 years, and I did save a few people's lives, but the dentist trusted me. And then I had some that were that didn't have the trust in me. They would never give it. But I believe if you if you understand and build your people up and give them the accolade, you will have a all-star team. I've seen egos get in the way of a team performing at a high level because the doctor needed so much like kudos and accolades by their team, that the team was supporting the doctor mentally. They were the leaders in the office instead of the doctor going, "Hey, good job. Thanks for being here." It goes both ways.
So if you had the opportunity, what would you like doctors to know? These young doctors who are graduating and starting their own practices, do you have some advice for them?
Yeah, I would say, I know that they're focused a lot on money right now. Because that's where you are right now. You're hungry. You've got debt. You've gone to dental school. If you've bought a practice, you've got a lot on you. Invest in your team, though. Pause and tell everybody thank you for being there. Just practice, I think, kindness to your team, and make sure you pick the right ones that are on board with you, and you set the goal. Make sure that everybody's clear on what the goal is in your office.
I love that. That's great.
One thing you said, Tonya, that I have to say, because I've just been waiting to say this at the right time, but you dropped a bomb that was so brilliant and inspiring when you said that your mom gave you the gift of. And it's like, to everyone listening, our childhood, no matter what challenges or obstacles or things that we might perceive as like, oh man, that wasn't ideal. Look at the situation I was born into, or this circumstance that happened to me. But you found the side of it that was a gift. And you even said it another time in this conversation. I was given the gift. And that is just such a profound perspective of like, almost like thanking the circumstance, the challenges, even the suffering that cultivated in you something that was a gift that now you can share and now turns into your contribution where you can help other people. And I thank you so much for sharing that with us. Like, just really quickly, I think of my mom, and she had a terrible upbringing and saw all sorts of abuse. And the gift that gave her was she learned how to forgive.
Yeah.
And she was able to give so many people grace and teach them how to love in the midst of it being not fair.
Yep.
And that's the gift she got to give people because of her childhood. So it's like people out there that are wondering, how to become more authentic or find out more of who they are in dentistry. It's like, don't forsake the gifts that you've been given that may not come across as gifts. You were talking about how your family always helped people. Well, someone else, they might have grew up in a family where, it's more of like they're always solving problems, and that might have come across as critical because there was just like, oh, there's something wrong here, there's something wrong there. Maybe you're good at finding problems then. Maybe you're good at seeing what's wrong, and that's a gift you've been given, and now you can find out how to be the answer to that. So I love that.
Well, I have to share that dental school is very, very difficult, and we're not treated so nice.
Yeah.
There's a lot of criticism. And I think when you're raised in that environment, raised as a dentist for 4 years, and you graduate with heavy debt, you do come out into the world with a very critical personality because it's been created. And you do have to look at it as a gift, and a gift that you don't want to carry forward that criticism to yourself or to your patients or to your team. But it is a process to undo it and be kind.
Yep. There's an old saying that hurt people hurt people. And, you never know what you're coming into when you come in contact with a person too. I believe that we're all contagious. Your attitude's contagious. How you come in and you slam your coffee down and you've had a bad morning coming in, that passes on to the person that's just sitting there, and she's like, where'd that come? It's still energy. You're passing that bad energy on to her. And then maybe she passes that bad energy on to a patient or the front, somebody, she just, it is contagious in your office. So if you come in and the leader's angry, or starts yelling or slams things or doesn't talk to somebody or ignores them, think about how that sets the tone for the office for the day to treat patients with kindness. It's contagious.
I talk about my dad inspiring me to be a dentist, but my dad was also a coach. He was an Olympic weightlifting coach. And I always look at it as coaching. How do I want to be coached in dentistry? Well, I want to be positive and encouraged. And when I do something wrong, I want immediate feedback and I want to know how to fix it so I can move on. That's the same way your team wants to be treated. It's what it sounds like. They want to be coached and encouraged.
Yeah. So on DentalPost, we have where you can download the app and you could actually do a team meeting with you'd have everybody take the assessments and you guys could talk about it in a team meeting if you guys do want. I believe in team meetings. I had the best offices I worked at. They did really a little huddle in the mornings, and then they did a big meeting on like either a Friday or a Thursday afternoon or Thursday morning or a Monday morning. And those were
out of curiosity, what is a big meeting? How much time is that?
Like a 30-minute meeting and kind of go around. I learned to do this with a doctor that taught me. We would do one word openers to see how everybody feels in the office. It's like, okay, I'm great today, or I'm fantastic, or, today sucks. So you can kind of get a gauge of who needs to be lifted up. Or, real quick, what's going on with what's going to happen in the office and how it's going to work. I saw those offices run the best. And when you kind of have anybody or even give them a minute to talk about what's going on with them, in your office, you bond everybody together and they become a tighter team and they work better together. EO does this too, where you'll have a meeting and you have one word openers, and then you have you'll have question, what's been your challenge, or you'll have just something silly maybe that morning. Go, if you could be any animal, what animal would you be? And it's kind of a funny thing that goes around the room, and it bonds everybody together. And then all through the week or something, or the whole year, people say something about what kind of you would have been a monkey or something. It kind of like it becomes the inside joke, and it bonds the team together. So there's ways to do it and do it fast and create really teamwork with they'll do anything for each other. But there's a lot of little things that you can do. I mean, a lot of consultants do it when they come in. They'll teach the office to be coherent and trust each other.
Hey,
you gotta have trust.
I just thought of something because of kind of with this pandemic. A lot of what I'm seeing in Facebook groups is people saying a lot of dental professionals aren't really sure that they're going to stay. Some hygienists didn't want to come back.
Yeah.
Meaning, what would you say to someone right now that, I don't know, maybe is wondering if either dentistry is still in their future or they're just not sure? I don't know, what message would you give someone that's just trying to get through this right now?
I think if somebody has to listen to their intuition, if they think that they need to leave the profession, I think they should leave. I think it's the greatest profession in the world. I have a mindset that I went into this to take care of patients, and it's my job to take care of the doctor. It's my job to take care of the patient and take care of my team and myself in the practice. That's where my loyalty lies. But a lot of them have been in a while and they were teetering on leaving. I think that's where we've seen the exit. We've done a lot of surveys and I have the results for those. And we've got a lot of the younger ones were really scared by a lot of the women that have been in the profession a long time. So I really think we had three types of hygienists. We had the brave, we had the ones that were concerned, and then we had the ones that were just angry. And some of those people have legit, to be angry. They've been abused by some of their doctors, and there's great doctors out there, and they also have a choice to move. You're responsible for your choices in life, and I believe if you're unhappy, you need to make a move. If you're not, then it's your responsibility. You've chosen to not. What you've chosen to make a choice, and that was to not. So that's how I look at it.
That's wonderful. And I tell dentists the same thing, give someone the freedom to leave if they're not the right fit. It's okay. Yep. It's like the end of a relationship, and it's time, and everyone should be happy. If everyone is miserable in your office, then changes must be made.
Yeah,
So
there's
Tonya,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, where would you direct someone if they're wanting, like, are there certain things you do where someone could work like with you, or is everything primarily just through the website?
I do primarily through the website, but I do work with about 3 or 4 people that call me up and ask me to work with their teams. I haven't done that a lot, but I do enjoy it. And I have a lot of friends that do that as well if they need help. Judy Kay is fantastic. There's a lot of consultants out there if they're looking for hygiene to really ramp their hygiene up. Rachel Wall and her team, Inspired Hygiene, is fantastic. So if I'm available, if someone wants to call me and talk to me, I'm always have my door open. But if they want to help their team or do a class, I can also facilitate those on Zoom, where we all take the personality assessments. We go through a team exercise. I would be happy to do that.
And the best way for them to reach you would just be reaching out to you on Facebook?
That or Tonya at DentalPost.net. It's TONYA at DentalPost.net. But first I would have them download the app, and the doctors take the personality assessments and try to understand, look at it where they need to improve, and then have their team take it. They could do a meeting with that as well, or I can leave one for them.
Tonya, we so appreciate your time today. We've learned so much, and I hope our listeners have learned where to go for team and how to treat their team. So thank you. Thank you for your time.
Can I leave you with a quote?
Please.
Yes.
Okay. Jim Rohn, he was Tony Robbins' mentor. And this is a saying he says, you can have more than you got because you can become more than you are. Unless you change how you are, you will always have what you've got.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Tonya, it has been a pleasure. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you for listening to the Authentic Dentist Podcast. To join Allison and Shawn on this journey, hit the subscribe button to never miss an episode. Here's to your success. Express yourself fully. Live authentic.